Hello and welcome back to the Academy of the Magical Art. It's been a long time, there's been a lot going on, but I am glad to be back doing another one of these videos. Today we will be discussing what is called the Dark Night of the Soul. There are some of you who may have heard of this term before, but for the large majority I'm willing to guess that you have not. This is depictive of a process that every magician or occultist will go throughout the stages of their growth, and is indeed one of the most intense times of self-change and metamorphosis. As we have discussed before, everything has a flow and an ebb. The pendulum swings to the right as it does to the left. Why would we think that our lives, our spiritual processes, or our growth are any different? The same principle applies and will apply to any situation in life that you find. Where there is a high, there will be a low, and where there is a low, there will be a high. The trick is, rather than getting stuck in one of these lows, that we learn to identify and recognize them for what they are and why they are presenting themselves, so that we can move up and out of it, a changed and better person, magician, or spiritual being as a whole. The Dark Night of the Soul is overall, in my opinion, a wonderful experience. It will challenge the ego, the false self, the shadow self, and cause us to die in some of the negative aspects of our life, that more of the true self and the light within may emerge. It is the time where we are able to realize things about ourselves, things that we may have known but didn't spend a lot of time meditating or thinking upon, a time where some of our old feelings will be brought out and put under examination, and a time where we will be tested to our convictions and our beliefs, allowing what is not necessary to be burned away, that only what is true may stand remaining. As I said previously, the dark night of the soul is metamorphosis. It can and probably will be experienced many times in life. It will generally occur after much knowledge or growth has been attained, as a form of test or trial of an individual, and it will generally indicate an even bigger growth or ascension. If you think of ourselves in terms of being a caterpillar, for instance, first we are born out of an egg, we come into life, we attain knowledge, wisdom, and grow, quote-unquote, eating the food, eating the leaf that we are born upon, only to shortly thereafter build a cocoon around ourselves, a place of complete darkness and isolation, for a period of time that we may grow and change, and a butterfly can emerge. From that point, we then eat food, go back into the cocoon, and emerge again. People who actively try to grow and change, who are actively in the pursuit of more light, more knowledge, will generally experience these times more often than somebody who is content and just kind of rides in a level line of wherever they are. When you try to push the pendulum up, the pendulum will fall back down and then go back up all over again. Only each time it will go up a little bit farther and it will fall back to an equal degree. The dark night of the soul will generally entail depression, anxiety, feelings of helplessness or isolation. You will experience a lot of different changes in your friends, your relationships, work or finance. Every aspect of your life will be put to the test and it will grow. When I say that, when you emerge from the dark night, when you emerge from the cocoon, you literally emerge a different person. It is true. The person that you were dies while you are in this period, and the new person will emerge. Even though it might be slightly different, it is still different. So that which you had around you previous to going into the cocoon may no longer serve you, and thus is removed. By trying to hold on to the things that are trying to be removed through these periods, you only hold yourself back in the past instead of moving forward and keep yourself in this period longer. As I said previously, many long suppressed emotions will surface. We will be forced to deal with things that we've bottled up, maybe even from early childhood. You never know what will surface through one of these periods, but rest assured things will come up. People have a tendency of feeling like the period will never end, that things will never get better, like they're hitting a rock bottom. Oftentimes people have a very hard time figuring out why these periods are taking place in their life, because they were on such a high and all of a sudden you drop and hit that rock bottom. Oftentimes it's very hard to analyze why, which is why I'm making this video, because so many people go through that. They'll say, well, I was doing so well, I was changing my thinking, I was forcing change in myself through study and through attainment of knowledge and understanding. Why am I in this position? Well, you're being tested, for one. Your convictions are being put through the fire. The knowledge that you claim to have attained is being examined to see if you really did attain and understand it, or if you just thought you did. But when you emerge with a greater understanding of these things, thus allowing them to work in your favor in a manner that is better. This is why when we enter into one of these periods, it is so very exciting, because we can rest assured knowing that we are being brought to a new level of awareness and are being offered the opportunity for growth and ascension. There was at one point a poem written by a man named St. John of the Cross. He wrote a poem consisting of 8 stanzas of 5 lines each that depict the ascension to union with the divine of an individual. I would strongly recommend looking this work up and reading it, just to get the kind of his take on this process. You know, when you hear the name, the dark night of the soul, a lot of people have a tendency to be a little put off by it. They want to avoid such an experience because it does not sound fun. However, true seekers, true people who are on the road to higher consciousness, they yearn for it, because this is the part where we receive the most growth. And really, the thing that changes is the more that you go through these periods and the more that you recognize what they are and why they are presenting, the easier it is to identify when they are happening or when you are in one. And the faster you can kind of pull yourself out of it, the faster it will end. Because rather than looking around and saying, man, everything really sucks, you are able to say, well, I know what this is, I know why it's here, look for the lesson, look for the thing that needs to be attained, attain it, and then you are able to move on. It is not uncommon for even seasoned occultists or spiritualists that have been on this path for extended periods of time to suddenly find themselves in a deep depression and searching for something externally to make it feel better, make it go away. The more that you look for resolution or the answers through this period externally, the longer you will stay in it. That is just a fact. Everything that you need to find to pull yourself through this period will be found internally. To truly understand one of these experiences brings a lot of peace while going through them, because you actually know what's happening. And most of the time, when you don't know why, you don't know what it is, it can be very confusing and very discouraging to an individual's spiritual growth. I would imagine that you would find one or more of these periods within people who are young in an initiation process. I don't care if it's your own personal initiation into some spiritual beliefs, initiation by the divine, initiation into the Golden Dawn or the OTO. It doesn't really matter. You are actively seeking light. You are actively seeking growth. You will be tested to make sure that you warrant that growth or that knowledge or that information. There are measures that are put in place to really make sure that a person who is seeking certain knowledge deserves the knowledge that they claim to be seeking, and they're ready to receive it. Otherwise, it could become dangerous, giving a young individual a loaded gun without teaching them how to properly use it, making sure that they are worthy to carry it safely, can be devastating to the safety of themselves and those around them. It's no different with spiritual lessons or wisdoms or techniques that are received through these initiations. Especially will find this in self-initiation, people who are personally trying to initiate themselves into the mysteries without going through any traditional schooling. There are exercises that need to be done and practices that need to be put in place and habits that need to be built by each individual to prepare themselves, to prepare their minds, to prepare their physical bodies and their energetic bodies for what they are going through spiritually. Oftentimes, when you get brought into one of these periods through this self-initiation, people will completely put their personal practices down, and then 3 months will pass, and they'll say, "Wow, I haven't done my exercises in a really long time. What happened? Or I haven't done my rituals, my lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram that I was doing twice a day, or whatever." It's very easy to be pulled off track during one of these periods, which realistically, retrospectively, doesn't matter as long as you pull yourself back onto track. It's okay to fall off of the horse just as long as you get back up on it and keep on riding. So I want to encourage that you do not get discouraged if you have gone through, or if you are going through one of these periods. If you are indeed trying to initiate yourselves into the mysteries and you went through a 3, 6, 12-month period where you did nothing with your practice, don't say, "Well, I can't pick it back up," because you can. And the sooner you do, the sooner things will get better for you. Again, the dark night of the soul will occur or take place after considerable attainment of knowledge or advancement or personal growth, and will indicate even more personal growth when you pass through it. Many people will refer to this period as a spiritual initiation of a sense, and it can be rather lengthy, like I said, months, or it can only be a couple days. It really depends on who you are. If you are going through one of these periods, or when you do, I just want to encourage you to hang on, bunker down, go for the ride, learn what you got to learn. It will pass, even though it may feel like it won't. Don't get down on yourself. Don't get down on those around you. Neither of those things will help at all. Make it through day by day, and eventually you'll see things start to get better till you hit a point where you know that you're back on the upswing, and then the top of the mountain isn't that far away. I want to thank you for joining with me today at the Academy of the Magical Art, and until next time, blessed be.